Welcome to Elmwick Academy, where shadows whisper and secrets linger. In a world of magic and mystery, 5 students uncover a darkness that threatens to unravel everything they know. This is the story of courage, betrayal, and the power that lies within. This is Shadows of Elmwick. The wind howled through the towering spires of Elmwick Academy, carrying whispers of secrets too old to be spoken. Below, waves crashed mercilessly against the jagged cliffs, the sound a reminder of the school's isolation. To most, Elmwick was a prestigious haven for the magically gifted. But to Lyra Hale, it felt more like a prison, a gilded one, perhaps, but a prison all the same. Welcome to Elmwick Academy, she muttered to herself as the enchanted carriage came to an abrupt halt in the school's sprawling courtyard. The stone gargoyles perched along the roof seemed to glare down at her as she stepped out, dragging her trunk behind her. Her black combat boots clicked against the cobblestones. She adjusted her grip on the strap of her bag and looked around. Students bustled past in clusters, their chatter bouncing off the grand stone walls. Lyra felt the weight of their gazes, a mix of curiosity and suspicion. She wasn't surprised. Transfers were rare, and the rumors about why she was here had probably arrived before she did. Lyra Hale, a voice drawled behind her. She turned, her emerald green eyes meeting a pair of stormy grey ones. The boy leaned casually against one of the archways, arms crossed. His dark hair was perfectly disheveled, and his smirk suggested he knew something she didn't. "You're a little late, don't you think?" he said, pushing off the wall and walking toward her. Lyra squared her shoulders. "And you are?" "Caleb Whitlock. Head of, well, pretty much everything that matters around here." He offered his hand, but the mocking glint in his eyes made her hesitate. Instead of shaking it, she shot back, "Well, Caleb, shouldn't the head of everything that matters be off doing something important?" Caleb chuckled, unfazed. "Feisty. This'll be fun." Without waiting for a reply, he walked past her, leaving Lyra to bristle in his wake. Lyra had barely set her trunk down in her dorm room when there was a knock on the door. It creaked open to reveal a girl with auburn curls and a warm smile. "You must be Lyra." "I'm Sage Alderwood. Your roommate." Sage's voice was as sunny as her demeanor, and Lyra felt her defenses soften just a bit. "Hey," Lyra replied, glancing around the room. It was small, but cozy, with enchanted ivy curling along the walls and a view of the forest beyond the school grounds. Sage plopped onto her bed, crossing her legs. "So, where'd they pluck you from?" "Pluck? You know, transfers don't happen unless, well," Sage trailed off awkwardly. Lyra raised an eyebrow. "Unless what?" "Unless something weird happened," Sage finished, clearly regretting her curiosity. Lyra hesitated, her mind flashing to the memory of a classroom engulfed in flames and the terrified faces of her old classmates. She shook the thought away. "It's a long story," she said simply. Sage didn't press further, but her curiosity lingered in the air. That evening, Lyra found herself in the Academy's dining hall, a cavernous room lit by floating lanterns. She had just picked at her plate of roast chicken when a commotion at the far end of the hall caught her attention. "Let me guess," Sage said, nudging her. "That's Caleb Whitlock again." Sure enough, Caleb was in the center of a group, his easy confidence drawing everyone to him. Beside him sat 2 others, a sharp-eyed girl with glasses, Ivy Delacroix, and a brooding boy with dark hair, Ronan Blackthorn. Lyra tried to ignore them, but Caleb's voice rang out. "New girl. Hale, right?" The room quieted as heads turned toward her. Lyra met his gaze, unfazed. "That's right. Need something?" Caleb leaned back in his chair, smirking. "Not yet. Just making sure you feel all welcome." She didn't miss the way Ivy rolled her eyes or the flicker of amusement on Ronan's face. Later that night, Lyra woke to a strange sound, like a low hum vibrating through the walls. She sat up, her heart pounding. The sound grew louder, pulling her out of bed and into the hallway. "Lyra?" Sage whispered, rubbing her eyes. "What are you doing? Do you hear that?" Sage listened for a moment, her expression shifting to worry. That's coming from the Forbidden Wing. We're not supposed to. I'm going, Lyra interrupted, already walking. Reluctantly, Sage followed, and they soon found themselves standing in front of a heavy wooden door. The hum was louder now, almost deafening. Maybe we should, Sage started, but Lyra pushed the door open. Inside, the air was cold, and the faint smell of damp stone filled the room. In the center of the room stood a massive mirror, its surface rippling like water. What is this? Lyra whispered, stepping closer. It's the mirror of Ilthar, a voice said behind them. They turned to see Caleb, Ronan, and Ivy standing in the doorway. What are you doing here? Lyra asked. Caleb smirked. Following you. Seemed like you might need supervision. But before anyone could say more, the mirror's surface darkened. A figure appeared, a tall, shadowy form with glowing red eyes. What the? Ronan started, but the figure lunged, shattering the mirror in an explosion of glass. The group barely escaped back to the dormitory, breathless and shaken. What was that thing? Lyra demanded, turning to Ivy. Ivy frowned, flipping through the pages of a thick book. It sounds like the Shadowed Keeper. It's a guardian bound to Elmwick, tasked with protecting its secrets. And why was it coming after us? Sage asked. Ivy's eyes met Lyra's. Not us. Her. Everyone turned to Lyra, who clenched her fists. I didn't ask for this, she muttered. That night, as she lay in bed, Lyra found a note under her pillow. Written in crimson ink, it read, Leave, Lyra Hale. You don't belong here. Outside her window, the shadowy figure lingered, its red eyes glowing in the darkness. To be continued.